Stand wherever you'd like me to. Yes.
All right, how did the meeting go? I mean, did you hear the condemnations that you said you were going in there to hear?
Well, again, I don't want to get into what was really discussed in the briefing, but there were a good number of countries that condemned the Hamas attacks. They're obviously not all. I don't really want to get into that. I think you can probably figure out one of them without me saying anything. Look, the situation is still fluid and very dangerous. And we're working hard, as I know other countries in the region are, to try to prevent this conflict from spreading. So, yeah, it's a very difficult time. Our thoughts are with, obviously, the government and the people of Israel right now. It's just a very tragic situation. It's ongoing, as I said. And it's important that the global community strongly condemn this unprovoked invasion and the terrorist attacks and activities that have taken place and are taking place.
And of the Palestinian civilians who've also been killed?
Well, look, we condemn civilians who are hurt or killed anywhere in the world. That goes without saying. What's important now is that the international community needs to show its solidarity with Israel. We have Israel's back fully as the United States. And the condemnation of Hamas needs to continue until they end this violent terrorist activity against the Israeli people.
Secretary Defense said they're going to send whatever they need Israel, like when it comes to the army. Do you think it will help to, like, for a ceasefire if United States sending any weapons to
I'm not going to get ahead.
They said they will send anything they need, but they just want to know what they need.
Well, President Biden said, I think, very clearly today, we will support Israel. We will help them in carrying out their inalienable right to their self-defense. So I would just leave it there for the moment. We will obviously be having discussions with Israel as to how we can best support them as they take on this violent terrorist entity, Hamas.
Mr. Ambassador, Palestinian civilians. What about protection of Palestinian civilians, especially against attacks from settlers, or even now in these attacks in Gaza? There's a lot of civilians that are being killed. There's more than 400. What about protecting them?
When you say protecting civilians, we are very much concerned about the impact of this invasion by Hamas, not just on civilians right in that immediate area, but in the region. This conflict could grow, and we don't want to see that happen. And obviously our thoughts are with all civilians that are hurt. But what we need to focus on is this ongoing terrorist violence being committed by Hamas. And this cannot be ignored. It's important, and I'm glad today we heard from a number of council members that these attacks should not happen. They need to end, and they condemn them. So let's just hope that this situation doesn't get worse, and we will be doing what we can to try to prevent it from spreading throughout the region.
Did the members speak about use of proportional force, and where do you stand on that?
Again, I don't want to get into the specifics of what was discussed because it was a closed meeting, but let me just say that I think from our standpoint, a number of countries spoke very clearly about the right of Israel to be able to protect its people. So let me just leave it at that because it was a closed meeting. And
is there any fear that hostages will be used as human shields in the ongoing conflict?
No, of course, that's a fear. This is this is a conflict in the region that we haven't seen in quite some time, and very, very concerned about hostages being taken. They need to be released immediately by Hamas. This is just a simple act of terrorism, and it needs to be condemned. Last one, and I'm going.
Isn't this the time to get all of the key players involved in trying to get talks restarted on a real solution to the Palestinian-Israeli conflict together and try and do something? Nothing's happened for many, many years on that score.
At some point there'll be time for that. The time right now is we've got to deal with the hostage taking, the violence that is going on, that's being perpetrated by Hamas, and we've got to deal with first things first. So why don't we do that? Thanks, everybody. I got to get going. Thanks.